His name is Hao Xian. He always dreamed of being nobody, hiding from life under the mask of inactivity. However, fate had other plans, and one day he found himself in a completely different world, where lying on the couch was not an option. For over 3 years now, Hao Xian has lived among the cultivators in a fantasy world, a place most only dream of visiting. There were magical systems and secret techniques that opened up new possibilities and aroused deep interest. His new body was not easy. The former owner was Tanya, and his new skin kept memories between the pages of an old book. Learning the amazing techniques allowed Hao to grow demonic wings, although they were small and barely noticeable. However, he did not wish to engage in cultivation. This whole world seemed incredible to him, and at the same time oppressed him. It was impossible to postpone matters for later. He had to urgently find a solution, otherwise his second chance at life would be lost, and heaven would not forgive a mistake. The gods were outraged at his laziness, for they had put so much effort into giving him this chance that thousands had longed for. He decided that something had to change. I started with 10 push-ups to cheer myself up and put my thoughts in order. After the first attempt, his eyes widened with unusual activity. The second attempt was almost unsuccessful. He almost tore his muscles. For the third time, he fell face down in the dust, feeling almost punished by the heavens. Sometimes he said goodbye to the life of an immortal cultivator, dreaming that in heaven he would be able to overcome his laziness. At first he thought that he would remain the same loser as in his previous life, but later I realized that in addition to laziness, he has other shortcomings that need to be corrected. Lying on the grass and enjoying the view of the sky, a window appeared in front of him with a message. There are 100 days left until the end of the quest, and failure threatens death. Hao Xian was not as indifferent to life as he had previously thought. After learning about the deadline, he was scared to death to the core, and could not understand where this time limitation came from. He was never warned about the time frame. Out of fear of death, Hao Xian instantly regained his strength, gathered his spirit, and his motivation suddenly skyrocketed. Out of fear, he rushed hundreds of kilometers without stopping, as if his life depended on every step. He reached Yuntai Mountain and stopped in front of a seemingly ordinary cave. Fatigue took its toll, and as pain engulfed his body, he fell to his knees, feeling every muscle. A precious pearl appeared in front of him, the activation of which was necessary to complete the task of the system. It took him 3 months of continuous running to reach this mysterious stone. When he touched the pearl, it exploded in a powerful glow, enveloping him in light. The system congratulated him on the activation of the gem, starting the story of the Heavenly Palace. The Jade Emperor currently rules in the Heavenly Palace. The time of his reign is called the Golden Age. 19 High Masters served the Emperor. Each of them could defeat any of the emperors of the past. However, in 1473, according to the Jade calendar, the Heavenly Palace will fall, and all 20 masters will die in a fierce battle. The reason for this will be 9 mysterious people from the West, known as Black Lightning. The year is currently 773 on the Jade calendar, so the destruction of the palace should only take place in 700 years. The player's mission is to help the 12 masters find strength in themselves, become stronger, and defeat the Black Lightning, thereby saving the world from destruction. After completing the introductory task, the player receives a starting reward, a card of the Great Sage. This consumable item temporarily allows the user to use the power of one of the 12 masters who have reached the pinnacle of mastery. A second introductory quest appeared before Hao Xian, the task of which was to reach Mount Huago and find the Monkey King who was in the initial stage of cultivation. His goal is to help the Monkey King reach at least 30% of his potential power. The boy was amazed by the difficulty of the task, which the system declared introductory because it seemed extremely difficult to him. Hao Xian was outraged. The system seemed to be playing a prank on him by making him run halfway around the world, when it could have just shown him a short video of the task. He was a little over 3 years old for the first quest, but since this was the second quest, he hoped that he would be given a little more time. He decided not to worry in advance and allowed himself to relax a little, because the problem did not require an immediate solution. However, new information suddenly appeared. The time to complete the quest is limited to only 3 days. Hao Xian thought that the system had gone mad, intending to kill him when he read about the new time limit. Feeling the fear of death grip him again, he felt on edge. Desperate and panicked, he began to run even faster. 3 days later, he was already standing at the foot of Mount Huago. Once there, he only dreamed of asking the local cultivators to let him go in peace. However, as he sat, giant human figures appeared behind him, emitting a powerful aura. One of the masters of the Tianmen sect, a representative of one of Liu Yuan's 3 great righteous sects, asked him why he, a mortal, was wandering around the magical beast territory. Hao Xian, frightened, hurriedly replied that he was only collecting herbs and accidentally wandered here, hoping for mercy. He never found the Monkey King, but he met cultivators whose evil appearance could strike fear into anyone. They warned him not to wander in places where demonic beasts live. Hao Xian had barely announced his intention to leave this place when the master interrupted him with an unusual, and what he thought was an interesting plan. The master suggested pumping out all of Hao Xiang's blood and turning it into a blood chi pill to attract several demonic beasts with its scent. The idea scared Hao Xiang so much that he turned pale when he heard the word blood. He tried to remind the cultivators of the unofficial rule that immortals should not touch ordinary mortals. But in response, he heard only mocking laughter. The cultivators replied that there was only the law of the jungle for immortals, and they were not burdened by other rules. Realizing that there was almost no way out, Hao Xian stood up and asked them not to approach, promising to use his secret weapon. Although he knew they wouldn't believe him, his plan was to use the Monkey King card and then quickly come up with something else. His body was suddenly filled with a huge amount of power, feeling like he was about to burst. Sensing true power, Hao Xian asked the cultivators if they were willing to die as the last scoundrels. He was ready to show them their place in the food chain. However, after a few moments his energy dissipated and he became a normal boy again. He did not expect the effect of the card to be so short-lived. On the system message screen in front of him, "Congratulations, Master. You are the first to activate the Great Sage card. Now you can transform into the Monkey King. The next use will be available in 10 minutes. He could now use this power as much as he wanted, but only after 10 minutes. He could have activated the card earlier and avoided this danger. Hao Xian couldn't help but think that the system was still playing tricks on him. One of the men grabbed Hao Xiang's skin and asked him about the source of the powerful energy that had so impressed him. Suddenly, everyone's attention was drawn by a huge red dragon that appeared in the sky. Standing on the giant stone was a man radiating incredible power. Vijit was Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, the young version of Hao Xiang's target. Sun Wukong turned to the audience and asked if they had decided to hunt his monkey relatives. This caused everyone to be surprised, as higher-class demons usually don't go beyond their usual limits due to a few random deaths of lower-class demons. Everyone thought that a powerful demon like the king was unlikely to get lost in such a wilderness. It seemed that Sun Wukong just decided to have a little fun, which confused everyone present. When they saw the Demon King, it was a shock. Even low-rank spells couldn't reach him. One of the girls in the group exclaimed that this was the end and they would all die, adding regretfully that she had never even had a boyfriend. However, the leader of the group ordered them to shut up, stating that if they waited long enough, his spell could kill even the Demon King. These words only made Sun Wukong laugh. He lay down on the grass and said he would wait until they killed him. He added that there should be no rush, as such spells take a long time to prepare, and he was willing to wait as long as necessary. Meanwhile, Hao Xiang's ability to use the Monkey King's peak form remained unavailable for another 8 minutes. The old mage was completely confident in his abilities, convinced that Hao Xian, with no other choice, would accept his spell without any tricks. 5 minutes later, a purple hurricane engulfed the area, the force of which vibrated through the ground, causing a sense of chaos. The Monkey King stood up, getting into a fighting stance, ready to face off. The old man, raging with his own power, rose to the clouds and created a magic circle above him, radiating energy. He declared from on high that soon Hao Xian would experience the power of the divine treasure gifted to him by their sect elder. The only drawback of this power was its long activation. The mage was convinced that even the Demon King would fall from the power of his spell. He pointed his finger at Sun Wukong as he prepared to attack. The attack was launched, and the atmospheric pressure became so high that it was very difficult to stay on one's feet. The energy was rushing straight at the Monkey King, getting closer to him with each passing second. Even as the inevitable attack approached, Sun Wukong still had a smile on his face, a testament to his indomitable confidence and composure. The old man concentrated on his spell, launching a huge purple beam that hit the target straight. The Monkey King seemed to have no bones left from that blow, and the old man was sure that his spell had destroyed the demon. However, suddenly he heard a question. "Why did you begin to rejoice before the time?" At that moment, the smile disappeared from the old man's face. There was not a single scratch on the Monkey King. He stood small, but his expression became very angry. Now he was ready to show the old man what true power was. With a wave of his hand, the Monkey King smashed through the nearest mountain with his crowning blow, displaying his might. The old man knelt down and addressed the Monkey King. "Mr. Monkey, you are stronger than anyone I have ever seen. I hope your generosity matches your incredible strength. Please spare my life." His eyes were full of tears, evidence of deep despair and remorse. An energy raged around the Monkey King that caused fear in everyone present. He has just proven that his power is unmatched. Before approaching the group, the Monkey King noticed Hao Xiang, who was much smaller than him and standing under his right arm. When their eyes met, Hao Xian froze in shock. He couldn't understand why the Monkey King was paying attention to him, because he was so insignificant that the king should hardly have noticed him. Meanwhile, there were only 40 seconds left before Hao Xiang's peak form was activated. Hao Xian made the Monkey King feel uncomfortable, and he swung his fist in his direction. Hao Xian managed to hold out his hand, asking him to wait, and explained that he had come here to pay his respects to the great Monkey King. Time was ticking away, and in 30 seconds, Hao Xian would be able to access his peak form. He went on to say that since childhood he had heard about the greatness of the great Monkey King from Mount Huago. This was his chance to see the king for himself, and he had 20 seconds left to activate. The Monkey King liked these words, and a smile appeared on his face. However, the smile quickly turned to anger. The king believed that none of the people deserved to be his disciples or worshippers. He became enraged and lunged at Hao Xiang with his fists. There was only 1 second left before Hao Xiang's peak form was activated. After the powerful impact that left a large crater on the ground, the Monkey King looked around, but couldn't figure out where the little one had gone. What he saw next caused him great surprise. "You possess a truly frightening power," the little one said to the Demon King, but already in his relative's body, standing on top of a mountain with a powerful body capable of competing with the Demon King himself. He became so majestic and impressive that everyone present was speechless with shock. No one expected such a transformation. The Monkey King had a strange, familiar feeling as he saw his relative in front of him. At one point, Hao Xian seemed to have disappeared from the rock he was standing on, but he was still there. Hao Xian, now in his new, much stronger form, had the opportunity to take revenge on the old man who had bullied him just an hour ago. He challenged the old man and his team to a battle to find out which of them should die and whose blood could become a source of energy. He easily defeated the old man, who was so weak that he could not even resist. Even the Monkey King watched this and was shocked, remembering how in his childhood his father punished him for mischief by slapping him on the buttocks. The Monkey King was interested in watching the events unfold, but he quickly grew tired of it. "Enough of wasting time on this weakling. Better fight me, the Monkey King," he said as he stood in front of the giant tamed dragon. Promising to be extremely interesting, the fight between two experienced warriors had every chance to impress everyone present. Their gaze was interrupted by a voice from the side saying, "How can you?" A huge circle appeared in the sky, in which was the figure of a man. His energy grew more and more. One of those present shouted, "Immortal! This is the real immortal!" The old man, who was recently defeated, appealed to the immortal to save him. A master who had attained immortality descended from the heavenly palace, and the old man thought that the monkeys would surely die now. The immortal addressed the demons, introducing himself as one of the masters of the heavenly palace, and asked why they were not on their knees yet. The Demon King sat down and promised that when he found time, he would visit the heavenly palace and wreak havoc there. He tried to cast the golden light spell, and a red layer began to form near his hand. From this layer, a magical thread was formed, which wrapped around the neck of the descending man. However, the immortal did not consider his opponent to be anything more than an ordinary, arrogant monkey, and did not think that such a spell could hold him back. He effortlessly tried to break free from the magical noose that bound him. However, the rope squeezed him so tightly that he could not free himself. The immortal couldn't understand how the earthly demons had become so powerful in his few years of inhumanity. A gigantic dragon's mouth appeared above the bound body, ready to strike. At first, the immortal master just wanted to fly by to show off, but now he was gulping in fright. "Immortal Taoists should be more careful with their wishes," the dragon proved as it swallowed him. The old man was sure that the master from the heavenly palace could not just die like that. Suddenly, a golden beam appeared from the sky and hit the ground, engulfing the dragon in its energy. It turned out that it was just a game. The immortal master used this time to transfer all his accumulated energy to the demon. Now the old man was in real danger. The dragon that swallowed him absorbed all this energy and became much stronger. Its color changed from red to light green. It grew to such a size that it could match the entire Huago mountain. The dragon transformed into the 12-winged Dragon King, now more powerful than his former master, and no longer regarded the Monkey King as his master. However, the dragon's joy was interrupted by a huge golden pillar that appeared in the sky and rushed to the ground with great speed. Horror appeared on the dragon's face as the pillar was directly above its wings and head. The explosion was so powerful that it was heard even on other continents. This is how the first 12-winged Dragon King in the history of this world died, who was 765 years old. A boy in the form of a monkey used a staff with 30 hoops for the first time. He found it difficult to control this weapon and summoned a pillar from the sky that killed the dragon. The Monkey King was sure that if the staff had hit him, he would have been dead by now. This greatly upset him, and he approached the boy with a request to fight without a staff, to which the boy replied, Yes, no problem. The boy offered the Monkey King several options for the competition, confident that regardless of the choice, he would remain the best. The Monkey King was confident in his speed and boasted about it to the boy. The king asked if the boy knew about the existence of the island of immortals Penlai at the other end of the continent, where the lotus grows, the beginning of all beginnings. The guy replied that he knew the place. He proposed a competition in which the winner would be the first to pluck a lotus leaf. The Monkey King lunged forward, but on his first jump he lost his balance and fell to the ground. The boy tried to use his energy to detain his opponent, but failed because the Monkey King used Shintsov's energy, which gave him the speed of light. The old man was shocked at the information about Penlai Island, as it was millions of miles away from where they were. However, the boy in the form of a monkey was there almost immediately. Penlai Immortal Island was famous for its beautiful places. Using the speed of light, the Monkey King quickly reached the spot, but landed with such force that he slid face first onto the ground. He was indignant at the power he caused because she did not treat him with respect, and even at the end showed him the middle finger. In front of him he saw a huge, shining lotus flower hanging in the air. He counted all the leaves and found that all 28 lotus leaves were in place, and was sure that he had won another victory. In 10 minutes he arrived at Mount Huago. The boy was already waiting for him there, noting that the Monkey King was late, thinking he would have to wait until the next day. The boy, having returned earlier, heard the words of the Monkey King, who pointed out that simply returning quickly does not mean victory if he does not have a lotus leaf. With a smile, the boy replied, "How do you know that I don't have a letter?" The Monkey King replied that he had counted all the leaves and had seen all 28, indicating that he had reached the lotus earlier. The boy scratched his head and admitted that he really failed to pluck the lotus leaves. Then he explained that the reason was not in the letter at all. As he ran, his body moved so fast that he attracted the attention of the heavenly gods and goddesses. Therefore, to ensure his safety, he decided to stop and turn back. Those who listened to his story could not understand what he was saying. The Monkey King laughed and called him a foolish boaster. He asked the boy to stop making up stories and just admit defeat, calling him a poor liar. The boy continued to listen to the Monkey King lashing out at him. Despite the risk, the boy agreed to do it again to prove to everyone that he was telling the truth. He asked everyone to watch carefully, so that later they would not say that he made everything up. Pushing off the ground with great force, it created a beautiful golden beam. His body was moving so fast that it was hard to see, as if it was cutting through the air. Behind him was only a golden streak created by his great speed. Like a hurricane, the boy continued to move, swirling currents of air behind him. It seemed that if he continued to move like this for another hour, he could burn down the entire forest from the sparks that formed under his feet due to his incredible speed. Everyone watching was shocked, standing with open mouths and staring eyes. His speed caused the sky to turn red. Hundreds of red eyes began to descend from the sky, turning their attention to the Monkey King. Even the boy, when he landed, thought that perhaps he should not have run at full speed, for even he himself was frightened. Next time he should be more careful because of the danger. Ever since the Monkey King was born from stone, he hadn't felt emotions like this. Thanks to the boy's energy, the Monkey King sensed a desperate situation, helping Sun Wukong gain 5% of his potential power so that he now possessed 15% of his potential. The Monkey King could do nothing but sit back and admit defeat. He could not believe that the defeat was due to the boy's armor or weapons, and did not want to accept his victory. The guy smiled and offered to give all his equipment. He remarked that after this, the Monkey King would not be able to cover up his defeat with anything else. The Monkey King cheered and urged the boy to undress quickly, assuring him that he would prove his strength without toys. But then a realization came to the Monkey King and he suddenly blushed. He began to retreat, declaring that he would meet the boy in battle another time, as he now had very important matters, even unknown to himself. The surprised boy began to think about what was happening. Even the Monkey King's servant emphasized to his boss that without the armor, the boy would definitely not be able to compete with him, and this was an excellent opportunity to win. The Monkey King barely agreed with his monkeys as they forced him to give up his armor. The boy sensed something was wrong when the Monkey King started asking for his armor, claiming he was going to change clothes. The Monkey King hid behind a mountain of stones and began to change his clothes. He changed quickly, knowing that if anyone saw him, his secret would be revealed, and that would be the end of it. The boy, standing on a mountain of stones, noticed something very interesting on the body of the Monkey King. He laughed so loudly that words cannot describe it, pointing his finger at the Monkey King. The Monkey King began to chase the boy through the taunts and noticed that everyone was looking at him. All observers were shocked. Some even almost lost consciousness from what they saw. Everyone was staring at the Monkey King tattoo on his shoulder, which was in the style of rainbow children's toys and hearts, like a girly tattoo. The Monkey King erupted in anger at being the laughingstock of everyone, claiming that the Monkey King could have such tattoos. He asked whoever said that strong and handsome men can't like cute things, thinking he should change the world and make society understand that it's okay. After 10 minutes, he was already standing on the mountain, regaining consciousness after crying. Trying to forget what happened 5 minutes ago, he tried to focus on his opponent. After the Monkey King put on all his armor and armed himself with the boy's weapon, he felt a great increase in strength, confirming his own thoughts of its power. Energy shone brightly in his eyes, giving them a special shine. With the cry, "Die!" he rushed at the boy like lightning. The boy stood without armor and weapons, just waiting for a blow, even forgetting how to defend himself against an enemy attack. Deciding to call it simply a fist strike, the boy concentrated energy in his fist that gave him confidence. The enemy was so confident in himself that he did not even consider the possibility of defeat because he had a powerful weapon in his hands. Using this weapon, he delivered a blow so powerful that the ground around him shook, creating a radiant energy beam. The impact was so strong that the waves spread across the land. After a few minutes, these waves could be heard even in the galaxy, and it is rumored that even some of the inhabitants of the black hole heard them. Against the background of these events, you can imagine beautiful flowers against the background of the blue sky, or a desolate desert against a gray sky where there is not a single drop of water, or the pain felt by a person whose consciousness runs through his whole life. Faith, literacy, the unknown, communication, hope, time, remorse, fate, darkness, youth. All this the Monkey King felt in his head and could not bring order to the thoughts that were chaotically raging in it. He felt like a patient who was confused, but at the same time found some truth. However, in reality, he was now deprived of everything, finding himself in the center of his own storm of emotions and thoughts. It turned out that the powerful attack and energy beam that spread across the planet was not caused by the Demon King, but by the boy using his fist, which he was well prepared for. He punched his opponent into the ground so hard that he could not gather his thoughts, and in one moment his whole life flashed through his head. The boy, standing over him, explained that it was called the voice of the Tao, and he used one of the great Tao's power varieties. The Demon King, panicked and excited at the same time, asked the boy how he could learn this. The boy replied that the Demon King was currently engrossed in improving himself, striving for immortality, or searching for a stronger weapon, and did not want to admit one truth. The great Tao is imperfect. Only when you get out of the eternal search for perfection, accept order and chaos, will you be able to see the true meaning of the great Tao. Then your martial art will turn into not just a technique, but a real art and borderline power. The king was surprised by the phrase, "The great Tao is imperfect." He could not understand what the boy was talking about. He ran those words over and over in his head. At that moment, the Monkey King felt something inside him shift. A huge gate appeared in front of him, which was impressive in its appearance, and it seemed that no one had opened it for hundreds of years. Behind these gates he saw something that he could not even imagine. He found his new Tao way. Sun Wukong reached 30% of his potential and successfully completed his quest. His reward was the card of the great sage Nej. Unexpectedly, each completed quest rewarded him with a card from one of the 12 Heavenly Palace Masters who were in peak form. This made him so happy that he could barely hold back tears, forgetting about his own safety. The Monkey King thanked him for his help, calling him his great benefactor, and asked him to take him as a student. The guy agreed, but put forward one condition. Judging by the expression on the Monkey King's face, he was ready to accept any terms. However, the boy set a condition. If the Monkey King really wants to become his student, he must give up all girly entertainment. The Monkey King was shocked by this condition and very frightened. To make sure of the boy's sincerity, the Monkey King asked him to swear, otherwise he would not believe. The Monkey King faced a choice: to become a strong and impregnable man, or to remain a gentle person with eccentric hobbies. The decision was only up to him. It seemed that the choice was obvious, but in reality everything was not so simple. In the end, the Monkey King apologized and admitted that he could not change himself so easily. He began to cry, pulling the skin around his eyes so that no one could see his tears, and admitted that real men should not have such passions. But he couldn't help himself. He really liked it. The boy put his arms around the Monkey King's neck and said with a laugh that it was only a joke. He tried to calm the king, telling him not to take everything so close to his heart. The boy explained like a true sensei, "As long as it doesn't hurt anyone, we can like anything. Those who make fun of other people's hobbies are complete idiots. If someone says you're weird, I, as your teacher, will help you beat them out all bullshit." After such an unforgettable confession, they went on together, and the Monkey King recognized the boy as his master. The Monkey King's servants and the team of cultivators following behind them shouted, begging the boy to accept them as apprentices as well. but he refused, explaining that there were too many of them and it could lead to dangerous situations. The boy remembered the dragon that served the Monkey King. It does not look like a traditional Oriental dragon. This creature clearly had Western features, and the magic spell was also with Western paraphernalia. The boy wondered what was wrong with this world. It seemed to him that the locals were already used to such oddities and it did not surprise them. Didn't the system say that in 700 years some Western organization would come here and turn everything upside down? However, a message window appeared in front of him again. The purpose of the new quest stated in the message was to travel to the newer kingdom, find a warrior maiden there, the Nine Heavens Fairy, who is currently in the cultivation training stage, and help her gain 30% of her potential strength. The names of such mythical characters could really frighten. The events moved to the main palace of the newer kingdom, where the key moments of the plot began to unfold. 3 days of fierce battles followed, full of tension and emotional tension. And after 3 days of grueling effort, she succeeded in defeating the demon, forcing him to give up his futile attempts to free himself from the chains that bound him. It was the ruler of the newer kingdom, Queen Shi Liang, who was superior to all the members of the lesser sex in her wisdom and strength. She assured the criminal that he would not be able to escape even if he turned his body to dust, as he was already under the influence of her 1,000 possibilities formation, which left no chance of escape. The man who was considered the strongest formation master on the continent expected nothing less. However, he managed to declare that he had mastered the boundary power, which gave him new possibilities. An impressive aura began to form near her feet, resembling a black hole, and suddenly this aura began to suck the girl, capturing her in its trap. The girl found herself in another world, where everything around was immersed in darkness, creating a feeling of isolation and unknownness. In this dark world, he transformed into a true god, taking the form of a skeleton, and equipped the place with unlimited power. Unfortunately for her, she had fallen into his kingdom's territory and was now chained with no way to escape. He was sure that she had already lost, and now the entire kingdom of New Year would belong to him. He had plans for her as well, wanting her to belong to him as well, calling her his dear queen. Meanwhile, the boy continued his journey back to the newer kingdom. He had almost reached the kingdom, and he didn't feel like doing this pointless quest at all. The kingdom was so close, but he was biding his time until the last day. A monkey looked out from behind the stone and addressing him as his master asked, "Do I really need to remain in this form?" The boy was impatiently waiting for him to appear and asked him to come out from behind the stone faster. A monkey came out from behind a rock, looking very cute in armor, like a little baby to look after. The boy reassured him, saying that there was nothing shameful about it and that it was part of his training, which he would understand later. Then he gently hugged the monkey and asked if the master could do anything to harm his student. Well, Hao Xian actually thought otherwise, believing that no one would want to attack such a defenseless and cute boy, thus reducing the number of potential enemies by 50%. A man watched this scene of master and apprentice from behind a stone. He had a suspicious smile on his face, and he didn't look too trusting. A man came out from behind a huge stone and looked at the characters in surprise. I asked them if they were local because they looked unfamiliar. The person they met offered them to spend the night, saying that he had a spare room where they could have a comfortable time and spend some money. Questions arose in the main character's mind about how the old man managed to say so many words so quickly. A little money? What does that mean? He thought, not understanding why the old man used such strange words. He envisioned a world where everything was modern and perfect, but then reassured himself that he shouldn't pay attention to earthly standards in the world of immortal cultivators. Calming his thoughts, the hero declared that he is still a minor and will not go where adulthood is required. The old man remembered that their leader had already captured the kingdom of Newer, and the whole garden was now full of beautiful women at the disposal of the conquerors. This news sounded very strange, especially the word captured. However, the old man said that if they do not believe, they can see for themselves. He pulled out a golden layer that began to glow brightly. Shar transmitted a projection of a city where beautiful girls were available to everyone, clearly demonstrating the situation. The hero was amazed by what he saw. The famous girls of the newer kingdom glowed in front of him in the projection, whose appearance caused shock and surprise. The old man added that if that wasn't enough, they had something even more exciting. But the girls in the picture looked scared and distressed. He began to talk about the boundaries that are important to observe, emphasizing moral boundaries. The old man assured the boy that they could satisfy his every wish, no matter what his imagination. Such words enraged the monkey, and he began to seethe with anger at the old man's shameless remarks about girls. Shouting, "Die, you bastard!" The monkey rushed to the old man and punched him in the beard. He shouted that this is exactly what should be done to those who abuse women. Despite the question, "What are you doing?" the monkey responded with another blow, grabbing the old man's neck tighter. When asked about his intentions, he answered that he intended to send him to heaven, being very angry. The boy intervened, calming the monkey down, saying, "Wait, that's enough." He asked the old man to forgive his student, explaining his youth and imprudence, and then decided to leave, saying goodbye to the old man. Quickly grabbing the monkey, he ran over the horizon trying to get away from these two nasty men. The old man's assistant asked if they would really just let them go. The old man explained to the assistant that this cowardly boy could not be the one they were looking for. The monkey was angry with his teacher for holding him back and not allowing him to give the old man his due. The boy calmly explained to the monkey that if the old man's words were true, and all the power of the head had reached the kingdom, then their efforts to attract the two vagabonds could turn out to be a tempting trap. The monkey realized with surprise that they could have become victims of someone's cunning trap without knowing it. The boy came to the conclusion that the whole kingdom could be a big bait for more important persons. He decided not to frighten the old man and his assistant, but inwardly he was convinced that all the perpetrators should be punished. Filled with remorse, Monkey fell to his knees and began to ask the boy for forgiveness for his actions. He tearfully admitted that he thought of his mentor as a coward, but now he realizes his mistake and deserves to die for his audacity. The boy waved his hand, denying the charge of cowardice, and explained that at first he acted on instinct, running away, and then thought the situation over and came to this conclusion. They planned not to waste their time, but rather make their way into the city to explore it. But it was not without adventure. Their attention was drawn to shouts from behind where someone shouted loudly, "Hey, you dirty bastards!" It was a girl of extraordinary beauty who had already tied up their accomplices, warning them that escape was not an option. It turned out to be an old man and his assistant, very small and tied together like children's toys, which gave the impression of a spell or magic. A notification appeared in front of the boy. "Din, congratulations, you have achieved the goal of the second quest. Met the fairy of the 9 heavens." The boy was shocked to learn that the girl was a fairy of the 9 heavens. She resented the way they treated the girls, thinking that these boys were accomplices of the perpetrators. With a sword in her hands, the fairy resolutely rushed at the boy. In a panic, the boy shouted, "Stop, sister, stop! Don't rush to conclusions, let me explain!" The monkey shouted in anger, "Master, you don't have to make excuses in front of her!" With renewed fervor, the monkey lunged in front of the boy, preparing his fist to strike, entering into a dangerous confrontation with the fairy.